This is me, 27 years ago, entering this world, kicking and screaming. And I soon noticed the things others said were impossible were the most fun doing. So I started wondering, what if I could become a professional soccer player? I started practicing, and although I wasn't the most talented player of my age category, I almost made it, with the highlight of me playing in a sold-out Philips Stadium in Eindhoven for the Dutch National Cup. At the same time, I graduated and started working as a safety advisor for 25 local governments. And I was pretty busy. Question for you, who uses email? And who receives more than 20 emails a day? Who more than 50? Are there people receiving more than 100? Okay. I received 150 emails a day. And at first, I found myself very important. But then, sitting behind a computer for 4 hours a day, checking and responding email, was just not fun. So I started wondering again, because at the same time, someone close to me passed away. And I noticed that 1/3 of my day consisted of checking and responding to email, and 1/3 of my day was writing internal memos and propositions. And the other 1/3 of my day I spent in meetings talking about emails and internal memos I wrote myself. And I thought, what if I turn 80? What did I contribute? So I started wondering again. And I noticed that with email, if you send more, you receive more. So hard work didn't pay off. And I thought, what if I did the opposite? What if I send less? Will I receive less? So I started testing this little assumption, and I did what every 24-year-old smart, hard-working kid would do. I decided to quit email. I did this for a week, and I told no one, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Maybe everything would go sideways, and I thought, well, I could always tell people I'm sorry, or that I was sick or something. But in a week, nothing happened. So I approached my manager because I thought, well, we need to have a conversation. And I talked to her at the coffee machine, and I asked her, do you have any problem with the amount of email you're receiving? I thought maybe I'd get a little sympathy. And I explained what I was planning to do, and she told me 3 things. It's ridiculous, it's unfriendly, and it's impossible. I started laughing, and I had to confess in that moment that I was already doing this experiment for a week. And obviously, no one noticed, not even my own manager. After some negotiation, she agreed with me on continuing this experiment because she became curious herself. At the same time, I started a blog, and I started sharing my lessons with other people and organizations and companies, and I was getting all this nice feedback, but as well people telling me that it was still impossible even though I was doing it. And I continued anyway. I started to deconstruct complexity and simplifying stuff using common sense. And instead of turning ideas into stacks of paper nobody is willing to read anyway, I started to translate those ideas from thoughts to actionable experiments. In 3 months, I managed to do my 40-hour full-time job in only 10 hours a week. And I wrote a blog about it, so I had to approach my manager again and explain how I did that. And while I was doing that, she told me, well, Kevin, although your evaluation reports are higher than ever, and you're a nice guy, this isn't what we hired you for. And I said, yeah, well, you're right. So I decided to quit my job as well. This story isn't about email. It is about testing assumptions. It's about deconstructing complexity and simplifying stuff using common sense. And it learned me 2 lessons, just like this duck. Challenge assumptions and have fun while doing so, and never let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. Now, as a starting out entrepreneur, I needed to have clients to work with. And I started wondering again, what if, instead of drinking coffee with everybody, climbing on stage is a better way to meet interesting people to collaborate with on awesome projects? So I reframed it to another experiment, which I'm currently running right now, to give 50 presentations in 15 weeks. At first, people told me, well, you will only get small audiences and unpaid gigs. This is me. 2 weeks ago, I started 9 weeks ago. This is me 2 weeks ago, standing in the Evoluon in Eindhoven, in front of 300 startup founders, investors. Even the CEO of Philips was in the room. And now I'm standing here on this red dot of TEDx, doing my 34th presentation. I don't know if I need to say more. But this experiment confirmed my lessons, to challenge assumptions and to have a lot of fun while doing so, and to never let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. Now, 34th presentation, and my deadline is the 3rd of December. Why? Because then my plane leaves to Hanoi for my next experiment, and I'm going to combine my passion, experimentation, obviously, with another interest of mine, travel. And what's my next challenge? It's around the world in 80 experiments. And every time I share this with people, I start to get this big smile on my face. But it's my idea to do 80 experiments at 80 different companies, charities, brands, and organizations all around the world by doing what I do now, deconstructing complexity and simplifying stuff using common sense. And maybe I'll do some keynotes or public speaking along the way. But I don't want any money. I just want to trade and give and share my knowledge, my energy, and my creativity for the basic needs I need when I'm abroad. Food and a place to sleep. And if that doesn't get you convinced by now, imagine how fun it is to have a 6'4" blonde Dutch guy running through your company with a big smile for a week. Yeah, I can go to Brazil now, thank you. Just with every experiment, are there people telling me that this is impossible or even ridiculous? Definitely. But if I learn 2 things along the way, it's to challenge assumptions and to have a lot of fun while doing so, and to never let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. So if you want to be a part of my experiment or follow me on my journey, you can go to aroundtheworldin80experiments.com, and I would love to meet with you in the future. Thank you very much.